the gold price is helping us on lots of levels, certainly on just basic revenue, but also it looks to be increasing the amount of the resource that we're going to be able to mine at Madsen. It's making Madsen into what will likely be a bigger mine than was originally envisioned, which is, yeah, another exciting layer on this.
The Financial Survival Network. Now more than ever. The Financial Survival Network.
And welcome. This is Financial Survival Network. I am your host, Kerry Lutz. With us today is Gwen Preston, Vice President of Communications at West Red Lake Gold, and she has a huge sponsor update. I will just say one line here, Gwen, then I'll let you take it with it. The gold is flowing, and so is the cash.
I love that line. We can just end it there. No, I'm kidding.
All right. Hey, I'll see you later. Have a good weekend.
For sure. I mean, the gold is flowing in that we did the first really important phase of mining, which is the bulk sample. And, you know, sometimes a bulk sample at a project happens way before mining because it's a new project and they're just seeing if it will work. Here, we're like, this is our bulk sample and it's happening just a very short time before we start mining. So we basically mined the first 15,000 tons of what we're going to do at the Madsen Mine. And we did it as a bulk sample, sort of as a very structured project for a specific reason, which is that, you know, we wanted to make sure that the market and that we understood that our approach to the Madsen Mine delivers what it needs to do. And what does that mean? So our approach to the Madsen Mine is to do a bunch more drilling into the deposit than the last people did, to make sure that we have a really accurate geologic model, and then to engineer and mine appropriately on that model. And we have long said that that approach to the Madsen Mine will mean that when we say a stope, an area of mining, has this many tons at this grade, we will be able to deliver to the mill that many tons at that grade, which is, of course, fundamental to mining success. And so we did this bulk sample as a structured program with independent people watching us so that we could demonstrate exactly that. And it worked perfectly. Like our reconciliation, so the comparison between what we said we were going to get and what we actually got out of the 3 different areas of the mine was as close as it can possibly be. I mean, the grade reconciled on average it was 0.7% higher than expected. The tonnage was maybe, I think, 4% lower, and almost 97% of the gold that we expected to be in that rock was in that rock. So what that says is our workflow, our approach to Madsen works. And so that's great because we have used that workflow to design, do the detailed engineering for all of the tons that we plan to mine over the coming years. And so now it's time to just start doing that now that we have this really important validation in hand.
Yeah, and that is validation. But you were off in one important number from your findings, the price of gold.
Yeah. There was that as well. Yes. The gold price, I mean, West Red Lake was started 2 years ago on the premise that the gold market would go and that it would be really valuable if you were able to deliver a new gold mine into a rising gold market, because gold had been in such a long slog that there were very few projects making that move towards production. And the gold price must have been listening because it has been playing along just perfectly with what we wanted it to do. I mean, as we mined and processed this bulk sample from the middle of March until the end of April, the gold price gained $500 an ounce, which was a thing of beauty. And so, yes, we then were able to sell so far we've sold about 2,500 ounces from this bulk sample. There's a little bit more yet to come, but we're in that ballpark. And we were able to achieve a gold price of almost $3,300 US per ounce for that gold. So yeah, that is really a lovely reinforcement of why all this effort is worth it. And it's because new gold production is rare and gold is really valuable right now.
Yeah, I love it when a plan comes together, and clearly yours did. And that's the genius of your president, having restarted. I think this is his 6th mine, and he's got the checklist, and he just goes one after the other, relentless. It costs money. Hey,
Yeah.
especially, in a rising gold market, you're going to have rising prices. And then there's always, you're doing mining, there's always things that you just don't expect. But you didn't have a lot of surprises on the upside here.
Yeah, I mean, what I think is really so doing this bulk sample, really important to validate the workflow. That's, of course, what we've started with here. The other really important thing that this did is that we're not saying, okay, time to turn the mine on and starting now in our learning, our ramping up of the crews and our figuring out of all of the kinks. We did that process. So like we started this bulk sample mining really slowly late last fall, and it started very slowly in the end of 2024, and then it ramped up, and we did the majority of it in sort of January, February, March of this year, because that's when our crews had ramped up their speed. But that was an incredibly useful process to get our crews underground. They had already been underground blasting new tunnels, doing development to get to the areas to do the drilling and get them ready for mining. But this was us getting started on actually mining, where accuracy is so important. You got to mine exactly the right rock. So that learning curve has been invaluable in how it has set us up to ramp up more smoothly as we start regular production, which is something we expect to do like literally in a few weeks. And the same goes for the mill. We restarted a mill that had been in dry shutdown for over a year and a half, and by starting up the mill and processing the bulk sample, we used that time frame to work out the inevitable bumps in the road that happen when you're working with a piece of major infrastructure. And so now we feel very confident that the mill is ready to ramp up smoothly. So really useful, nothing surprising, just the normal, like you say, hiccups that happen with major operations. And we've worked through a lot of those hiccups already. And so now we're feeling pretty confident about our ability to ramp this mine up with relative smoothness for mining through the second half of this year.
Yeah, well, you guys should be really proud because you overcame the odds, you overcame all the obstacles, and you succeeded when really the deck is stacked against companies like West Red Lake.
Yeah, I mean, the deck is stacked just in that there's been so few investors interested in mining. And so, that on the capital side of things is challenging. We thankfully have a very good group of good capital markets operators. We've been able to access the capital. And I think the rarity of a stock that's able to offer near-term gold production, that really helped as well. I mean, that puts you, there's very, very few companies of North American listed single asset companies. There's only 3 others that we know of. RBC did this work, Bank of Montreal did this work for us. There's only 3 others who in 2025 are starting up new gold mines. And so it's a very short list. And so that has certainly helped us navigate the capital side of things, just the rarity of the opportunity that we're offering. And then, Shane, our president and CEO, really took pains to staff this company with people who have done this before. And that's so important. When you're operating a complicated machine, the experience of the operators is fundamental. And so we're thankfully able to enjoy the benefit of that foresight right now. And we're feeling pretty good.
Yeah, you don't want an amateur pilot flying your 380 on his maiden voyage here. I got a technical question for you, though, on grades. With the price of gold as high as it is, what does that do in terms of the ability to go further into different areas where the grade might not be as high? And your grade, 5.7 grams per ton in this first batch sample, pretty impressive.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's a really important question because what a high gold price does is make more of the resource likely profitable. And so, when you compare that, our official mine plan is our pre-feasibility study. It used a pretty low gold price in deciding which of the tons were likely profitable and therefore should be part of the mine plan. It used a gold price of only $1,680 in making that determination. And of course, the gold price is getting on for twice that right now. Or it is twice that right now. And so we don't use spot gold when our engineers do their final mine design, but we use a price that's, near long-term gold consensus, which is right now $23.50 per ounce. That's the long-term consensus gold price. And if you engineer your mine around a gold price like that, instead of $1,680, what you get is mine design that instead of just focusing on the highest grade, like maybe a small lens of the very highest grade, you also get to pull in the halo of lower grade mineralization that surrounds that. And you don't pull it in for the sake of mining more. You pull it in because it makes money. It's profitable. Once you've driven the tunnel, done the development into that area, adding tons is essentially some relatively easy to do, and they make money, and they can lower your mining cost per ton because it's easier, it's expensive to mine wider things than it is to mine narrower things. So the gold price is helping us on lots of levels, certainly on just basic revenue, but also it looks to be increasing the amount of the resource that we're going to be able to mine at Madsen. It's making Madsen into what will likely be a bigger mine than was originally envisioned, which is, another exciting layer on this.
Really exciting. And the experts are always wrong, as we know. And this time they've been dramatically wrong. 50%. When we talked last time, we talked about the PFS feasibility study. And we said that actually was probably the worst case scenario that you could come up with. And now the market, the performance, bulk sample has proven that to be true.
I mean, we phrase it as our base case instead of worst case because even that base case pre-feasibility study still made money. It still made fairly good money, good cash flow. And so then if you can build on top of that, that's a nice place to be. Hey,
and I'm not even going to ask you what the IRR is going to be relisted or revalued at, because you probably can't figure that out till production normalizes.
Absolutely. And exactly what we can talk about now, and we're going to talk about this over the coming weeks, quite a bit. We're going to try and demonstrate the differences a little bit between, that sort of smaller PFS mine plan and just the reality of what our engineers are designing and our miners are doing right now. You can't wrap economics around that, at least, like you say, until you're in commercial production and you have cost structures that you can do. And then you can do some backward-looking calculations and do some really good estimates then. So for now, what matters to us on site is ramping ourselves up. We expect that now that we've delivered the results of this bulk sample to our board of directors, we expect that they will support management's decision that we should turn the mine back on in just a couple weeks. Right now, we're working on making sure we have a big stockpile of high-grade ore sitting beside the mill, because that's just what you always do when you have a mine. In case something happens, you want to have ore sitting there ready to go. So that's our focus right at this moment. And then, and then through the second half of this year, just make sure that those mining crews and engineering groups keep ramping up their ability, so we can move from our starting throughput, which is we expected about 600 tons per day, just push that up to 800 tons per day. That's our first goal at the Madsen Mine, and just start producing gold from this thing.
Hey, well, it's a good idea to stack up that ore, because that effectively becomes your bank. And speaking of banks, $8 million, that's $8 million less than you have to go tap the line for, and it's self-financing.
Absolutely. No, I mean, seeing revenue from gold sales was a really exciting thing to do over the last month here in the office and at site, for sure. It's the reason that we're here, right? And that's why we're so motivated to turn this thing on and just start selling gold into this phenomenal gold market.
All right. Well, hey, this is great news, Gwen. Appreciate you coming on. Hey, for more information and to sign up for notifications so you can track the production as it comes online, just go to westredlakegold.com, ticker symbol USWRLGF, and in Canada, of course, it's WRLG. Gwen, we'll be talking with you again soon. Appreciate you coming on.
I hope to talk to you again soon. Nice to see you, Kerry.
The Financial Survival Network.